No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Well, folks, I'll be perfectly honest with you. As you know, the second straight late night, and we're so thrilled that so many of you are joining us again for a second straight late night, early morning as the case may be, as it's now Thursday morning. I was sitting there as it was 2-0 for LA, and I was sort of dreading what was going to be happening on this post-game show. I'm thinking it's going to be the three of us, and it might just be the three of us talking to one another, because if the way the game had gone at that point in time, I really wouldn't have blamed a lot of you if you maybe took the night off from the Illegal Curve post-game show because of the late night last night and another game coming up on Saturday, and then the Illegal Curve hockey show on Saturday morning. But I did not see this coming. I did not see this comeback coming. I did not see this performance by the Winnipeg Jets coming. And clearly, I need to remove all previous preconceived notions that I have about the Winnipeg Jets. Because from my perspective, they had really many reasons to not necessarily battle back in tonight's game. They've already won 2 games on the road trip, the second half of a back-to-back, and they're playing on the LA Kings team that is one of the best teams in the entire NHL. And for the Jets to do what the Jets did afterwards is very impressive from my perspective. And with that, I will say good morning, Winnipeg. Good morning, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this morning on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, good morning, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to talk about the Winnipeg Jets ending the road trip on a high note, on a very high note, coming back from a 2-0 deficit, scoring not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 unanswered goals to give the Jets a 5-2 victory in Los Angeles. They head home from this 4-game Mountain and West Coast road trip with a record of 3-1. And gentlemen, after last Thursday's game against Colorado, we were talking about how impressive that victory was, how that was potentially a victory of an elite team. From my perspective, tonight's victory, coming back in the way that they did, second half of a back-to-back, no Kyle Connor, this was even more impressive than what they pulled off in Colorado earlier in the week. I say good morning to Dave. I say good morning to Ezzy. How are you fine gentlemen doing?
Well, I think what was clear was that Gabe Vilardi didn't want Blake Lizotte to have anything to celebrate on his birthday, right? Like, obviously, the Gabe Vilardi, revenge game lived up to its billing, right? And, the Jets were, I'm with you, Drew. Like, this was a weird game in that, did the Kings care about coming back in that third period? Like, I just thought, in that third period, you're down a couple goals. Somebody just gave us $20 from Los Angeles. There we go. Mo Jangagard. Nice. $20 from LA.
And it's actually courtesy of Drew's cousin, who apparently directed Mo to our show.
Well, that would be my cousin Jeff. My cousin Jeff lives in LA and is a huge Jets fan. And I'm not sure if he was at tonight's game in LA. Usually he
ask Mo.
Me. Mo was my cousin Jeff there, or I assume it was my cousin Jeff, at least that you were.
Drew, you're taking credit for this.
You this way, but we appreciate the contribution.
I think Mo's giving us some guilt because it's the second last night of Hanukkah. I think that's what's happening here for Mo. But when someone gives us money, we're gonna take it, right? So nice to see the super chat from Mo there. Thank you, Mo. Tuning in from La La Land. But yeah, again, give the Jets credit. The 3 goals in the second period, led by Nikolai Ehlers. Ehlers was incredible, and he had a really good scoring chance in the first period, right? He dashed down the left side, and Cam Talbot had to make a good save. So obviously, Ehlers was fantastic. The whole first line, Gabe Vilardi, Mark Scheifele. I was telling Dave, that's one of the best games I've seen Neil Pionk play defensively. Like, I just thought Pionk was on tonight. Like, he just didn't want to give the Kings anything. But I just thought that the Jets' pushback obviously came in the second period after they killed off that penalty. Nate Schmidt obviously loves cross-checking penalties because he took 2 tonight. But I thought Schmidt was good as the game went on. But yeah, just a really impressive victory. look, the Jets are a good team. When they go down 2-0, and I think we can put to bed this notion of the second game of a back-to-back, a team can't play well. If anything, it might give them a bit of an edge. And the Jets, again, maybe for a bad team like, the Sharks or the Ducks, or, maybe you say, okay, well, you don't expect a lot in the second game of a back-to-back. But I honestly kind of just forgot about that. Like, obviously, the Jets lost to the Sharks last night. I didn't forget that. But what I mean is, they're a professional team. Like, the Jets have had a lot of space between games. Like, we've talked about it, right? Like, they're going to have a 3-day break before Colorado at home, right? But look, Connor Hellebuck shut the door after he let in that really bizarre goal, and we'll get to that, scored by Alex Lafreniere. That was a fluky goal. Let's be honest. It goes off of his helmet.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to criticize Connor Hellebuck for that. But just a great pushback in the second period, as I mentioned, led by Nick Ehlers. And then you finish it off in the third period. So it was a gutsy effort, and I think it just showed the maturity of this team, right? Like, the Jets, I think in previous years probably lose this game. But I think
in previous years, they probably lose this game handily. They probably just, they probably just, turn tail and head home saying, okay, road trip, 500 on the road trip. We can handle that. But I like the word that you used there, Ezzy, and that word was maturity, because this was a very mature effort and mature response by the Winnipeg Jets. You go down 2-0. And look, LA is a very good hockey team, and LA's not known for playing a loose style.
I thought you could really tell how much they miss Gavrikov, Drew. Like,
I would agree with
that.
you
had some young defensemen in the lineup.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan Spence has been in the lineup, but Andreas Englund, that's not Derek Englund, by the way. I think some people might have thought that was Derek Englund. Jacob Moverare and Jordan Spence was the third pair. That's just a young third pair, and I just thought that the Jets really took it to them tonight.
Well, and it's the fact that the Jets were in a position, Dave, where they could take it to them that is most impressive to me.
Yeah.
And and as he mentioned, second half of back-to-back, you expect the Jets were, maybe in that third period would fade or would have a struggle in that third period, and that wasn't the case at all. They were still the better of the two teams in that third period, and they had the Kings just absolutely befuddled. LA couldn't do anything to try and counteract the Winnipeg Jets and get any offensive zone time in that third period. The last 2 minutes when Talbot, was on the bench, notwithstanding. But before that, when LA is trying to allegedly push and get back into this, and with a power play opportunity, they weren't able to accomplish anything.
Yeah, I jokingly tweeted out from the IC account that it looked like the Jets were the Harlem Globetrotters at some points in this game, because they were making LA look, very ordinary, and that's unusual because this has been one of the best teams in the NHL. And yeah, they're coming off a loss, but that was, I think, 3 days ago, because they played on Sunday.
Rangers, they lost to the Rangers.
New York.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, that's, they're still one of the best teams in the West, and they're a deep team, and they really didn't. They looked good. And if you think about it, they were opportunistic. You got a power play goal, you got a fluky goal. And it wasn't like, at some points they looked like early on in that first period. And you could say, I always forget what the narrative it is or going to be when you play the second half of a back-to-back. But at the same time, give Winnipeg credit. And more importantly, what did Winnipeg do today? And I was just looking it up, Drew, to see the time on ice. But to me, that was like the key was the ability to have four lines. And to be able to roll your four lines. And that's unfortunately when you go 11-7, which we thought was a questionable decision last night in order to play Logan Stanley and Nate Schmidt. This way, you've now got all four lines going, and you get a chance for everybody to get out there. And look, let's be realistic, guys. That top line was simply on fire.
Yeah.
They were ridiculous together. And we were wondering, obviously, Gabe Vilardi hasn't played that many games since he came back from his injury. But
he's back.
He's back,
yeah.
Baby, as they say. It's his, first ever 4-point game. Comes in his return to LA. So, based on his comments from 2 weeks ago, and you can see them, LeoCurve.com or on our YouTube channel after our live show, of course. But he was still heated. He was still 6 weeks after that third game of the season against the LA Kings, which they came into Winnipeg and won fairly handily. You knew that Gabriel Vilardi and Alex Iafallo and the team itself were wanting to have a good game. And going down 2-0, suddenly you're like, okay, like you said, Drew, what's going to happen here? Are they going to be satisfied with saying, well, we've split our roads. We won the first 2, we lost the last 2. Overall, we've won 4 of 6. If they would have lost, instead they're 5 of 6 now in the last 6 games. So, and what are they doing? What's most important, Ezzy? They're maintaining Colorado beat Buffalo tonight, but they're maintaining themselves in that race and not allowing the teams like the Nationals and the Arizonas who are nipping at their heels to catch up.
I mentioned this before. Sorry, Drew. Just wanted to say, we're going to get into the Betway game recap and go over all the goals. But I mentioned this earlier. Like the Nate Schmidt cross-checking penalty happened early, like around the 3-minute mark of the second period, and I made
the second cross-checking penalty. You mean?
Yeah. Okay. The first one was in the first period.
Yeah.
And I made a couple notes here because there were 2 good scoring chances. Just to remind everyone, Kevin Fiala had a really good scoring chance. This is power play 1 in the slot. Hellebuck made, I forget if it was a glove save or a pad save. And then Trevor Moore right after that, or not right after that, but, later on in the power play, he had a good scoring chance. Like I would classify those. The reason why I made a note is because those were 2 high danger chances, grade A scoring chances, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like that was all Hellebuck. Right? Like, I'm not saying that the Jets weren't good in their structure on the penalty kill, but Hellebuck made 2 really good saves on that LA Kings power play. And really that to me is when the game started to turn. And we've talked about it so much how, special teams, that's the only area of the game, the Jets game this year where you could have some problems with both the power play and the penalty kill, because 5-on-5, they're one of the, Drew's talked about this a lot. They're one of the best teams offensively and defensively. So really, if the special teams, that's kind of the difference. If you're looking at like, what's the difference between the Jets being, a top 10 team versus a top 5 team, or, a team that wins the Central versus finishes second or third. Because the reality is, it's like Dave said, like there's so much parity in the NHL. Like that's why we shouldn't be that surprised that the Jets came back in this game, because everybody's talking about the Kings and how elite they are and how great they are. I mean, like, I don't think there's a big difference between the Jets and the Kings. As far as I'm concerned, if these 2 teams played in a 7-game series, it's probably going to at least 6 games.
Well, you know what I think it's so surprising in tonight is that the LA has been so stingy at giving up goals 5-on-5. That is where they've been the best in the NHL. Them, the Bruins, and the Jets, for that matter, have been the top 3 teams in the entire NHL when it comes to goals against at 5-on-5. And the Jets,
or just goals against period for the
goals
Jets.
Against period, sure.
As I Smell Great points out.
Yeah, in particular, yes, of course.
By the way, what is the answer, Drew? Is it 18 straight or 17?
I think it is now. It was 6. I think it's 17 by my
17.
count.
I think it's 17. I smell.
Yeah, 17 straight games that the Jets have allowed 3 or less goals. And Connor Hellebuck himself, let me look it up here. I saw Cap Friendly tweeted it out a couple days ago in talking about Connor Hellebuck and his recent play. Something like he's been a significant number of games now where he's 2 or less goals. Per game. So Connor Hellebuck himself is also playing just in an incredible zone right now. Let's see if I can find it while I'm talking at the same time here. Look, this Jets team right now is absolutely in a
Drew
zone.
looks like he's ordering lunch right now, is he?
I'm not ordering lunch right now. That would be
sushi or Mexican.
Neither.
I guess it'd be breakfast at this point.
Neither. It would be more of a breakfast time at this hour. It's 12:25.
We had a Secret Santa at Hockey Manitoba today, and I got a breakfast sandwich maker. I'm pretty happy about that.
I thought you were going to say you got a breakfast sandwich
maker. Yeah. I was going to say somebody just gave you a breakfast sandwich for a Secret Santa. That would actually be you'd appreciate that as well, for that matter. But look, for the Jets to do what they did here, and you can't talk about it without talking about the performance of Ehlers, Vilardi, and Scheifele. Because that is the Jets' top line moving forward right now.
Well, they combined for 32 points tonight. So.
For the next 6 to 8 weeks, until Kyle Connor is back in the picture, that is going to be the line that drives the Winnipeg Jets. And they absolutely were beasts out there. The LA Kings could not handle that trio. Ehlers, obviously, with his speed and his dynamic play, and like I said, as he said, we'll get into the Betway game recap because I mean it's hard to pick which one of his shots is going to be the Seagram shot of the game, or maybe it's even Vilardi.
They were very similar, Drew. It's funny you mentioned that because I mean that is vintage Ehlers. That's when Ehlers is playing at his best, right? When he's pushing defensemen back with his speed and using that great shot. So you're absolutely right. I mean, all three of those guys were equally good tonight. And you're right. I mean, they took over this game. In the second period, that line took over this game, and the Kings never recovered. And by the way, going back to what I said before, I don't want the Kings fans to get too upset with me here. I do think the Kings are a good team. All I'm saying is like a lot of, superlatives are being thrown around with a lot of teams, right? Like some people think Vegas is the best team. Some people think it's the Rangers. I mean, I just don't think that. Look, you don't have a Boston Bruins like you did last year. You don't have a team that's running away with it that's going to get 125 points or whatever they had last year. To your point, though, Drew, just going to sort of cut you off.
Yeah.
You're right. The first line of Ehlers, Vilardi, and Scheifele took over in the second period, and they never looked back.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And they never let up. They never looked back, and they never let up. And that's the impressive part, is that they not only took over, and they took, because you can take over for a chunk of time, you can take over for a period, you can take over for half a period, but they took over that entire game, and LA had no answer for them. And I mean, I think it's sort of fitting, and we won't get into this specific goal in the Betway game recap because it's going to be the empty netter, but I think there is a little bit of a cherry on top. That was Mark Scheifele planting the flag at center ice and scoring that empty net goal with a second to go, saying, yeah, this is just me, this is me really reaffirming what we just did to you guys over the last 40 minutes and taking over this game. I'm going to put another puck in the net because you can't stop me. And the only thing that may be able to stop me is the buzzer that sounds the end of this game. That's what I thought from the Winnipeg Jets. And so that's good, by the way, if the Jets play with swagger, not arrogance. Arrogance leads to trouble, but swagger, where you think you are better than your opponent or you think you can take over a game, that's something that you can build on, and that's something that can galvanize a team. And the Winnipeg Jets tonight, especially in periods 2 and 3, played with swagger, Dave.
And don't be confusing swagger with sauntering, because Drew's a good saunterer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a good swagger. So the Jets are playing with swagger. Yeah. Drew's a saunterer. Right. But I was just going to say, actually, Drew, just further to your point, I would have been great to see Connor Hellebuyck, who looked like he was contemplating. Didn't get very far. He might have to practice, but
he was trying to pull a Mikhail Burden in the KHL All-Star game.
But he got the puck out of the zone. That's the important part. He wasn't able to get it all. He was trying for the goalie goal. He wasn't able to pull it off, but he cleared the puck successfully.
Yeah. So, anyways, you're right though, Drew. It was an impressive win. I mean, that's the only way you can put it. The Jets, we weren't sure how they were going to respond. I mean, look, the reality is, it's not like they played a terrible game against the Sharks, and it's not like the Sharks are. Even though their record indicates that, we've talked about it on last night's show, they've been playing much better hockey, and they've been giving teams like Vegas and the Rangers and all sorts of other teams fits for the way they've played of late. So, they just, what's his name? I mean, Mackenzie Blackwood was excellent in net, and the Jets' power play was terrible. So, I mean, that was really the difference in last night's game. And tonight, again, the 5-on-5 was excellent from Winnipeg. And that's what you want to see. And that's what, again, stingy defensively, which is what we talked about, that they were going to have to be. But, if the top line, and we talk about Rick Bowness loving to load up his top line, and we don't expect him to put up 32 points every single game. But there's no question about it that, if this line can cook like this way and the other lines can still contribute a little bit, but at least not be negative defensively, it's going to bode well for Winnipeg.
And the one thing I wanted to say too, and we talked about it earlier with how well the Jets have been defensively at 5-on-5. Like, to me, it was just a smothering defensive style. They kind of took a page out of the LA Kings playbook and did that to them in the second and third period, where you had forwards like Nemesnikov and Niederreiter, Barron, Vilardi, Scheifele. They have bought in to the way you need to play defensively to be successful, right? And that's something that we didn't see last year. And, hats off to Scheifele, because, he's leading by example, and we haven't seen this type of play from him, all around play. I'm not talking about offensively because Scheifele is a point a game player year after year. I'm talking about his overall
200 feet,
200-foot game.
Yeah.
And he was incredible tonight. And as I mentioned too, like, Nate Schmidt, good on him. Logan Stanley's the odd man out, but he was a healthy scratch a bunch of times, 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. And he recovered from taking those 2 penalties. I thought he had a really solid game with Dylan Sandberg on the third pair. So yes, again, we're not going to award the Stanley Cup after tonight's game, but like Drew said, and I agree with Drew, even though everybody who watches the show knows I hate to agree with Drew. Like, this is something the Jets continue to build off of these types of games, right? In Colorado, they got the lead and they never gave up the lead. This game, they're down 2-0 after 1. You're thinking to yourself, like, this game's over. Like, second game of a back-to-back. This is the mighty LA Kings, one of the top teams in the league. And what do? They come out with that might have been their best second period of the season. Like, honestly.
I think the last 40 minutes, I would agree with that. I mean, the third period to me, as impressive as the second period was, the third period to me is even more impressive in that they don't even allow LA to sniff a comeback. Right. That LA,
LA shut it down, Drew.
Yeah, they shut it down. You would expect LA to come out for that third period and push back hard, and it was the Jets who controlled the pace of play for the vast majority of that third period. Look, the possession numbers in the third period. LA, by the way, entering tonight's game, the second best team possession-wise at 5-on-5. In the third period, at 5-on-5, the Jets had 71% of the possession, which is incredible because the LA Kings should have been the more desperate team. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, again, I'm not taking anything away from the Jets because I thought the Jets were excellent in the second and third periods. But like, it's almost like the Jets pushback in the second period was so good that the LA Kings, like, it was like they got demoralized. They had trouble putting 2 or 3 passes together in the third period. And, the Jets had a couple cracks at the empty net, but it just didn't seem like, I mean, at least to me, I didn't get the feeling that the Kings were going to tie that game up in the third period. I just thought, like, the Jets played so well that the Kings just seemed frustrated. They just didn't play with desperation, and they didn't have a lot of sustained pressure. Like you said, the possession numbers tell the tale of the ice being slanted in the Jets' favor.
That's right. It's hard for the Kings to expect to come back when they can't get out of their own zone. Right. And that's where the Jets kept the vast majority of the play in that third period. Let's get into it. It's the Betway game recap. It's 12:30 in the morning, and there's about 400 of you joining us to watch the
Where was everyone last night, by the way?
Game show.
Smash that like button.
Drew, where was everyone last night? You and I were doing this post-game show. Can't be fair weather,
we know what
folks.
the difference is.
Yeah,
they heard Ginsburg was going to be here, so they came around.
That makes it. Yeah. Never mind. Now it all makes sense.
I bring all the boys to the yard.
That's right. The opposite is I usually run away from you, but everyone else is running to the show as a result. But nonetheless, we appreciate all of you being here. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets post game, and again Saturday mornings with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Now let's get into it. The Betway game recap.
The Betway game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Betway, title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show and one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. The Los Angeles Kings open the scoring. It's on the power play. Anze Kopitar, who's been an absolute Jets killer over the last couple of years. You remember the 4-goal game he had in Winnipeg last season. He gets his 11th of the year assist to Kevin Fiala and Quinton Byfield. It comes with Nate Schmidt in the box with on a cross-checking penalty that many people thought was a little soft, a little ticky-tack. It leads to a goal scramble.
Like, I'm usually someone that will, say that a penalty is a penalty, but in that particular case, like, that was one of the softest cross-checking penalties I've ever seen.
Well, and you saw that after the goal goes in, Adam Lowry and Rick Bowness are both so furious because, to set up this goal or to position themselves
for
this goal,
cross-check Sandberg.
That's right. Adrian Kempe gives the same exact cross-check that got penalized into the back of Dylan Sandberg. It results in a loose puck, and Andrei Kopitar, who we know is so difficult to knock off the puck and is such a beast in front of the net, is able to deposit it past Connor Hellebuyck to give the Kings an early 1-0 lead, Ezzy.
Yeah. I mean, look, Adrian Kempe cross-checks Dylan Sandberg and takes him out of the play. And, look, Andrei Kopitar goes to the net, and the puck gets under Dylan Sandberg, and then Kopitar just puts it in, right? So, I mean,
not pretty. It's not pretty, but it's
no, it wasn't a pretty goal. And DeMello was the other defenseman out there, but he has to be mindful of, I think it was Kevin Fiala that was playing the left point there. But so DeMello has to worry about Fiala. Morgan Barron was the other a penalty killer out there, but so DeMello is looking after Kopitar, but then he has to respect the pass by Fiala, and then like we just talked about, Sandberg gets cross-checked in front of the net. He's out of the play. So look, I mean, you could have easily called. I mean, look, it was a soft cross-check by Kempe, Dave, on Sandberg, but it takes Sandberg out of the play and directly results in the goal by Kopitar because Sandberg can't do anything. He's on the ice, and Kopitar just shovels the puck from under him and into the net, right? So, yeah, it was kind of a ridiculous sequence of events.
You know what was interesting on this one, Dave, is after the goal goes in and you see that Rick Bowness is upset and Adam Lowry's upset, then the refs and the linesmen got together for a huddle. And the thought crossed my mind that maybe they were going to, take the goal off the board for a brief second, because it was weird that they all got together. Like you saw it on the TV broadcast,
and you can't challenge anything there.
No, but I was wondering if maybe the officials themselves were going to almost overrule themselves. It was just an odd sequence of events all around. I think
they were just talking about where they were at for dinner, to be honest with you, because I agree with you.
I assume they're in Nobu. No.
I think it's just the standard answer. But no, Drew, it's a fair point, because I didn't take note of that when after they scored. And I'm with Ez, like, you're watching the play and you're thinking the cross check on that Schmidt did that led him to be in the sin bin was the same that Kempe did on Sandberg, and this leads directly to the goal. So I mean, it's an unfortunate play, and I mean, you understand why Bowness and Lowry are losing their minds, because they felt like that directly led to the goal against. And so, and you're trying to send a message. You're just trying to, let the refs know you're not happy with the way the state of the game has gone at that point, to kind of hope that you're going to get something in your favor subsequent to that.
Yeah, exactly right. So nonetheless, it is 1-0 for the LA Kings. This goal coming at the 9:36 mark. It's on the power play. And the Kings have really, I think, I would say, controlled the first few minutes of that hockey game, which is sort of seems to be a pattern that the Jets have been falling into as of late. The Kings make it 2-0, a little less than 3 minutes later, 2 minutes and 53 seconds later. It's Alex Laferriere getting a weird goal from below the goal line. He really just shoots, as Kevin Sawyer said on the broadcast, he shoots for Connor Hellebuyck's ear and successfully does so. Hellebuyck is down on the ice, sort of hugging the post, and when you go down, and all goalies now are taught to go down in that instance, there is a small area of room, I'd say, between the goaltender's helmet and the crossbar, and in this case, with the assist to Pierre-Luc Dubois, Laferriere is able to find that small space and you tweeted, or you texted both Dave and myself saying, oh, I think we know what our Seagram shot of the game is going to be, because it was really, I mean, it was an incredible shot for him to be able to pick that very small corner like he did. And this is just a reality of a drawback of how goalies are taught to position themselves, that leaves that window of opportunity, that crack open for players to try and aim for.
Yeah, but it's just a fluky goal, right? Like he's below the goal line, Laferriere, and yes, he is. Look, I don't know if he was trying to do it exactly the way it happened, but I mean, it goes off of Hellebuyck's mask and in, right? Like it was. Like in any given season, how many goals do you see scored like that? Like a handful, like behind the goal line, off of the goalie's mask. So yes, you're right, Drew. I mean, if Hellebuyck is standing up, but He wasn't, and he was excellent after that. He didn't allow any goals, right? So you mentioned this earlier. At that point in the game, it looked like, okay, this might be a game in which the Kings score 4 or 5 goals against the Jets, but it was the other way around. So it was off of face-off. Pierre-Luc Dubois picks up an assist. He was Mr. Invisible for the majority of this game. He continues. Well, he's really been Mr. Invisible the whole season. Let's be honest. Yeah. He's having a pretty shitty season. And I think a lot of Jets fans are enjoying that, to be honest with you.
I saw something that hang on, let me see if I can find it quickly here on Twitter. Dom Lucian of the Athletic tweeted that with Gabe Vilardi's 4 points tonight, he's 1/3 of the way to Pierre-Luc Dubois' total point total, the total number of points that Pierre-Luc Dubois has had all season. So Vilardi certainly with a bit of a statement in tonight's game, and we'll get into those goals. But
Dave, by the way, can we leave that comment up for at least 30 seconds about Drew rambling on?
Sure.
I don't ramble that much. I mean, I ramble a little bit. I don't think I rambled that much. It is 12:30 in the morning, 12:40.
People think you're a little.
Call you Led Zeppelin the way you ramble on.
Thank you.
I was going to go rambling, man.
Reference. So 2-0 at this point in time for the LA Kings, and that's where the first period ends with that 2-0 lead. And you know that if the Jets are going to give up the third goal, then it's basically going to be a good night, Irene, to continue with the musical references. And the Kings get an early power play in the second period. And as you referenced this one earlier, talking about that nice glove save that Connor Hellebuyck makes off of Kevin Fiala to keep it at that 2-0 lead. And that's where the Jets goaltender needs to be at his best to not let another goal in and maybe allow his team to begin to crawl back. And the Jets had, even before Ehlers getting the goal to make it 2-1, which we'll get to, Mason Appleton had a good opportunity. Mark Scheifele had a good opportunity. David Gustafsson had one. Nate Schmidt had one. And the Jets just looked like they weren't able to capitalize. And then Nikolai Ehlers off the rush, 3-on-2 opportunity. And it starts in the Jets zone with Gabe Vilardi picking off an errant pass from Philip Deneau, head manning it up the ice. He's got Ehlers and he's got Scheifele. He's got Ehlers on his right and he's got Scheifele on his left, and he feeds it to Ehlers and he goes hard to the net, still drawing the attention of the defenseman, allowing Ehlers to cut in the middle and absolutely unleash a great shot, top corner, to beat Cam Talbot and cut the lead in half, Dave.
Yeah, but I mean, I said this, and we'll talk about it more because it happened a number of times. I think the book is clearly, I think Joe from Winnipeg said this, top right corner on Cam Talbot, because that is where the goals seem to beat him tonight. And again, we don't watch the Kings regularly, so I don't know if that's where he's been getting scored on throughout this season, but that seemed to be the calling card of the Winnipeg Jets. And I mean, it's a beautiful play, and it's funny because Connor Hellebuyck actually tried to cover the puck in the Jets zone and wasn't able to. So that kept the play alive. And then you're right, Drew. It was a nice play by Vilardi in the neutral zone, and they got things going. And then, he makes, or was it Scheifele? No, it was Vilardi.
It was Vilardi who starts the play.
It was Vilardi who starts it. And then Scheifele does what he does. But, look, Nikolai Ehlers' shot, we've talked about it. It's phenomenal. The one thing with Nikolai Ehlers' shot, and we saw it on the power play where he missed, not by much, but it's that he misses a lot. And so the one thing with Nikolai Ehlers is you really want him to hit that net. You want him to shoot. That's the good thing, because the Jets weren't shooting enough last night. Yeah. But you want him to be hitting the net because his shot is so good. And when he can start doing that, like what he did tonight, I mean, that was a lethal shot, and doing it with speed, right? I mean, again, Talbot can see it because he's in between. There's no screen. So Talbot sees that the whole way. The only difficulty is he's going the opposite way from Ehlers, right? So he's going with Ehlers, and obviously the puck's going back across. But I mean, it's a hell of a good shot, and it's a nice play by the top line, and it's critical, Captain Obvious says, to getting the Jets back into this game, because you're right, they had opportunities, but it was that reward, and that kind of, you felt that the Jets were in it. Like again, 2-0 isn't insurmountable, as we saw, right, but you needed to get that kind of relatively early success and not allow, obviously, the Kings. And that's why you're right, Connor Hellebuyck had to be good, but then Ehlers gets that goal, and then you can just start to feel the momentum turn as a result.
Well, you talk about momentum. The next note that I have in my little notebook here, as I was keeping track while watching the game, is that the Jets have the momentum and the Kings are on their heels and can't handle the Jets' strong forecheck. And so that real Jets started to build off of that goal that cut it in half. And then at the 13-19 mark of the second period, they tie it up. So 7 minutes and 11 seconds after Ehlers' first goal.
Get that bumper ready, Drew.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Ezzy. Nikolai Ehlers gets his second goal of the game, his 9th of the season. And as Ezzy alluded to, it's our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's, makers of fine products like Fireball, for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. As you all know, Fireball tastes like heaven, burns like hell. It's particularly tasty at 12:45 in the morning, but it's a beautiful shot by Nikolai Ehlers here. You know, the first one, he was on the right wing and he cut into the middle. This one is just straight speed coming down the left-hand side, and absolutely, when he unleashes that, and I mean, the one that still is vivid to me, and I've talked about it before, is the one he unleashed against the Rangers, Madison Square Garden, a slap shot.
That was
down
like
the left
5
wing.
years ago.
I can still vividly remember it. This one, this one might replace it, because this one was another absolute, just a rocket of a shot. And when he comes down the left wing with speed, it's a dangerous proposition for both the opposing defense and the opposing goalie. And he makes no mistake on this one, Ezzy, to cut it off, to tie it up at 2.
You're right. And I think part of the reason, why you keep talking about that Ehlers goal in Madison Square Garden in New York was because it was bar down, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like the entire arena went quiet. It was like, whoa. Like everyone was just like, what just happened? That was a bazooka of a shot. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like, what I liked on this goal was how quickly the Jets moved the puck and transitioned the puck out of their own zone. It was Pionk and Dillon in their own end. Shifley takes it at the half wall, gets it to Vilardi, who just gives Ehlers a perfect pass. And I mean, this really is, like we talked about in the first 10 minutes of tonight's post-game show, this is just vintage Ehlers, right? It's speed, it's skill, it's the hands, and just a beautiful shot, glove side on Talbot, right? So just nice execution, nice passing by Shifley and Vilardi. But yeah, just Ehlers is feeling it, right? And that goal, you could sense that the Jets were going to score another one after that. They had all of the momentum at that point, as opposed to the Kings, who had all of the momentum, up 2-0 on the power play early in the second, which we know the Jets killed off. But yeah, just love seeing those types of goals in transition. And it's something that is going to be forgotten if the Jets get back to the level they were scoring at, Dave. But like, this team still has been struggling a little bit to score at even strength, right? Most recently yesterday in San Jose, right? But this is just an absolute beauty, just great speed, and just a beauty shot by Nick.
Dave, and Mike McIntyre, who's on site for the Winnipeg Free Press in Los Angeles covering the game, tweeted that this Nikolai Ehlers goal, the second goal of the game for the Jets, the second goal for Ehlers, got an audible gasp from several of the Los Angeles writers in the press box. That's how impressive it was. And you can take our word for it, folks, to get an audible gasp out of grizzled, embittered sports writers. That means that you just witnessed something pretty incredible. And that's what you saw with Nikolai Ehlers' second goal of the game here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. And again, it's the speed, right? I mean, that's what you want Nikolai Ehlers doing, is attacking with speed. And so he can take, I mean, again, that one thing I was talking about with Ez as we watched the game was just this, it also starts with Gabe Vilardi, right? And one of the things that Gabe Vilardi seems to do, which is similar to what Kyle Connor can do, is he's very good when under pressure with the puck. And he doesn't really hot potato it. And even when it's in tight and there's bodies all around, he still manages to come up with the puck. And so I just thought the play of Gabe Vilardi tonight, or Gabriel Vilardi, was very good. And yeah, Drew, I mean, like, again, Nikolai Ehlers using his biggest asset, which is his speed, then is probably his next biggest asset is this shot. And those two things combined, are pretty deadly if they're humming along. And that's what happened. And again, it's super, you're watching this game and you're thinking, as I just said, the first goal gave the Jets that start of the momentum. Yeah. Well, now it was picking up steam, and similar to Ehlers' speed, it was starting to it was starting to speed down the hill and you could feel that the Jets were taking over that second period, including, by the way, little fun fact, Connor Hellebuck making his 13,000th save as an NHL goaltender.
Yeah.
It's a fun fact.
It is a
Drew.
fun fact. I will not
Big
deny
number.
that is a fun fact.
Thank
Big
you.
Number.
That is a big number, and it's a fun
saves
fact. And Dave M
by
is
any
always,
goaltender since
Dave likes fun
2015 and
facts.
16.
Dave,
Dave-
you've always liked fun facts.
yeah,
I do.
Dave-
And hold on, my other fun fact, because we didn't mention it, Dylan DeMello, 500th game.
Well, I was going to mention that when we talk about the assist he got on the fourth goal of the game, but we'll get to that afterwards. So 2-2 at this point.
Hold
in
on,
time.
Dave. Were you talking about Smoke Daddy?
Yes, you're Big Daddy, he's Smoke Daddy. It's weird.
Ironically, you should be Spunk Daddy based on previous lifetime commitment awards, but that's a separate issue entirely. I suppose that we'll discuss that off air. 2-2 at this point in time, and the Jets keep the good momentum going. It takes all of a minute 41. So at the 15-minute mark, exactly with
This was a garbage goal.
In the second period, Scheifele his 10th assist to Vilardi and Nikolai Ehlers. And you know what I like about this goal is that it's more of a grinding style goal.
Yes.
The first two goals are off the rush. This one is, a catalyst to this one is Dylan DeMello taking a shot and having Pierre-Luc Dubois' stick break in blocking.
I made a note of that too, Drew. Like
Yeah.
that the irony of that. I don't know if that's irony because Alanis Morissette ruined the definition of that word for everybody.
Right.
But I mean, the fact that Dubois didn't have a stick and he was scrambling around, I think that image, I think, wasn't lost on a lot of Jets fans.
Well, and then the Jets just put the puck in, they got the puck through and in front of Cam Talbot, and Gabe Vilardi was in front of the net, causing chaos, and Jakob Moverar couldn't handle him, and then Mark Scheifele was able to pick up the garbage coming up from sort of behind the net and able to knock it in. And it's not pretty, not like the first two goals. Those ones were pretty. This one is just look, this is the kind of goal you expect to see Nino Niederreiter score or an Adam Lowry to score right from the blue paint. Instead, it's the Jets' top line of Mark Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi, and Nikolai Ehlers combining on this one, and that gives the Jets the 3-2 lead with 5 minutes to go in the second period, Ezzy.
Yeah, and you mentioned it there, like Gabe Vilardi was in front of Cam Talbot. He had a nice net rush prior to that, and then Nick Ehlers takes the puck near the blue line, and he has some speed. He puts it on net, and watching that live, I wasn't really sure what kind of happened there. And then you watch the replay and you still don't really understand because the puck was there for Cam Talbot and it looked like, he thought he was going to cover it, but it kind of, squirted just perfectly. So like you said, Mark Scheifele's skating behind the net and then he just comes in and it's just a loose puck.
Yeah.
And then he just puts it in. So I'm not really sure, if, like a Jets player or a Kings player got a stick on that puck that didn't allow Talbot to cover that puck up. But yeah, like you said, I mean, this is just a garbage goal, right? Like, good on Scheifele for being, good goal scorers are usually right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Right, Dave? But yeah, I mean, what stood out to me was the Kings were just absolutely scrambling. And we mentioned it. I mean, Dubois doesn't have a stick. So essentially it's a 5-on-4. But the Kings just seemed like they were on their heels. And that's a credit to the Jets top line of Vilardi, Scheifele, and Ehlers. But I mean, that's a real weak goal. And, we're going to get into the fourth goal, which by Vilardi, which is also a weak goal. I mean, look, Cam Talbot's been a great story. Cam Talbot's numbers have been great, right? Like, I think he's got a .930 save percentage. He's up there top 10 in the league, goal save above expected. So is Hellebuck, by the way, now. He's back up to top 10 in the league. But I mean, the third and fourth goals were weak goals, and they're not completely on Talbot. But I mean, the fourth goal was more so on Talbot. But that goal again, it was a garbage goal. Look, Talbot tried.
I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good backhand. I don't know that I'm as negative on it.
It's pretty far. It's pretty far away. It's from pretty far away.
Talbot's got to stop
from far away, and you probably do want your goalie to make that save. So I agree with you in that sense. But I thought it was also a pretty impressive backhand.
It was
released pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, it was nice backhand shot for sure, Drew. I'm not trying to take anything away from Vilardi. But
as he doesn't want Gabe Vilardi to have a 4-point night, obviously.
No, absolutely not. Gabe deserves it. I mean, especially with what he went through with the knee injury. But I just thought with that at that point the Kings are up 3-2. You got to come up with a save there. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, looking at the replay, if you like just watching it quickly again, you can definitely see Talbot looks at his defenseman and felt like maybe there's a little bit of confusion because even though I'd say Vilardi's 10 feet away from Talbot at that point, he obviously does have the chance to use the defenseman a little bit as a screen to put that puck up and over. So it's a good shot. It's just from a far enough distance that you'd think that Talbot would make the stop. But hey, what did Don Cherry always say? The backhand's the hardest shot to stop. So that there's a reason for that.
And assist to Dylan DeMello. So it's the way, what sets it up is DeMello keeps the puck in because the Kings are they can't string two passes together, which is what you said. So they're just firing the puck up the boards in an attempt to relieve the pressure. DeMello keeps it in, gets it to Vilardi, and then Vilardi turns and fires on the backhand.
Yeah, but I was going to say that the key is also that Mark Scheifele is taking out two Kings behind the goal line.
Well,
and
sure, yes.
And again, it's good work by Mark Scheifele. Another thing we've been talking about consistently this season. So now you've got two Kings behind, out of position, or at least one of the Kings is out of the position, and it gives some space for Vilardi, and you like to see what he's able to do. I mean, the guy's obviously feeling it, and as T. Conapoli just said, backhands are tough to read, and it's true. So again, it's such a huge momentum goal for Winnipeg, right? Because as you said, Drew, I mean, third period, and we saw it throughout the third period, the Kings really just didn't have a lot of pushback. Whereas it was the Jets, again, the team that had already played last night. Yeah. I mean, San Jose to LA isn't exactly,
it's not New York to LA.
It's not LA to Nashville or anything like that, but it's still a flight. You still have to deal with that. Game ended late. So the fact is that it's an impressive effort right now because, again, it's a 3-2 game. Easily could have been a tie game, obviously, but instead you early in that third period kind of take a stranglehold. And honestly, and I would say because we've watched so many games, you get a feel for hockey games and you can kind of get a feel of the flow. And Ezzy and I have watched so many games together where we'll sit there and we'll be able to say, okay, this game is, like it's going to end in this manner. You're not really surprised. I didn't feel like when the Jets got that fourth goal that LA was really going to have a sufficient ability to come back in that game. It just didn't feel like that based on how the second period had gone and part of what we'd watched in the third. So again, it was a really critical goal for the Jets at that point in the game.
It killed their spirit. That's what happened there. They killed the Kings' spirit, and they really didn't have much of a pushback after that. They had a few scoring chances. Like I can remember Trevor Moore is a player that I really like. I don't know how many
Trevor Lewis.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people knew that Trevor Lewis went back to the LA Kings. After going to the Jets, and where did he go? Calgary. I'm not sure if he went to another team there, but he's won some cups with the LA Kings, of course. But nice to see him finishing his career in theory with the Kings. But yeah, I mean, look at a lot of people are talking about the backhand. I mean, it's a nice shot. I just thought, again, maybe I'm wrong on that one. Maybe that wasn't I'm not saying it was an easy save to make for Cam Talbot. I guess it's just
from that far away in that
circumstance. It was from a good, what would you say, 15 feet out, something like that.
I said 10, but
10 to 15 feet. Let's, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and we'll say 10 feet. But that was a killer goal. I mean, that really sealed the deal. Like you said, it put this game in a stranglehold, and the Jets never looked back. They didn't let the Kings make it a one-goal game. Nope. And again, that's what's the most impressive. Second game of a back-to-back, end of a 4-game road trip. Really, you can't understate, how impressive. Like Drew likes to, we give Drew a hard time when he talks about intestinal fortitude. But really, this is an example of, I think, this Jets team just being mentally tougher this year.
Well, and I just want to jump in quick, and then Drew, you can come back. But I was going to say that the thing that is probably as impressive as the goal scoring, which, as you said, Drew, hasn't been happening a lot with Winnipeg, but to the point that you made is the fact that they locked down, and they were the team that controlled the play for the remainder of that third period. And again, you expect that pushback because you're like, well, okay. And there's been a couple of games now where you've watched games and you're like, the team that doesn't have the puck realizes they're currently down right now. And obviously LA pulled Talbot with a couple of minutes to go because they were down 2 goals, but it just felt like Winnipeg was in control. And that's why I sent out that Harlem Globetrotters tweet as a joke, but it really did feel like the Jets were in complete control. And like I said, maybe it was confidence from that fourth goal to give them the 2-goal cushion, but they just played. And look, LA got their chances. And
they had the power play opportunity as well. With Brendan Dillon in the box for cross-checking.
Brendan Dillon was not happy about that penalty. But I was just going to say, and some of the people in the chat have mentioned, look, Neil Pionk made a couple of great stops when Hellebuck was on the other side of the net, and the guy was, I don't remember who it was trying to wrap it around, and Pionk came and stopped what would have been an empty net goal. So good on Pionk for doing that. And I thought, as Ezzy has touched on, Neil Pionk had a really good game. And I mean, it's just, again, it's an impressive effort to be able to lock things down the way they did against, again, a very good LA team that just didn't seem to have their head in this game.
Yeah, very impressive indeed. And then the icing on the cake, of course, was the empty netter, Mark Scheifele getting his 11th assist to Nikolai Ehlers. And when you add it all up, when it's all said and done, it's a 4-point night for Vilardi. It's a 4-point night for Ehlers, and it's a 3-point night for Mark Scheifele. So that the 11 Jets top line combines for 11 points in a stirring 5-2.
And that's Andrzej Kopitar's number, Drew.
Oh, there you go. The numerology here at 1 a.m. The clock just flipped to 1 a.m. So it's numerology time on the Illegal Curve post-game show. When we come back, some of Rick Bonus's comments. We'll see if any of the other players spoke to the media after post-game. So stay with us. We'll do the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment as well. So much more to come. 1 a.m. Stay with us. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Jets victorious 5-2 over the Los Angeles Kings.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. 1 a.m. just passed. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. Reminder, 9 a.m. on Saturday. We're going to be live on location for the Illegal Curve hockey show, live at Farmery Brewing at number 2 Donald Street. That is where their retail location is located. You can join us on Saturday morning. Get some Illegal Curve lager. There's going to be great drink specials. There's all sorts of great great stuff on sale and available for you to purchase while watching Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show live at number 2 Donald Street. That is the retail location of Farmery Brewing. So we look forward to seeing all of you there on Saturday morning to join us for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Here's Rick Bonus tonight post-game talking about Nikolai Ehlers' play. This is the best he's played because he's healthy. He's 100% healthy. But when he's skating like that, he's elite. It's elite speed, skills, hockey IQ. You love to watch him play. So that's the Jets head coach talking about Nikolai Ehlers, more about the Jets top line. When that line plays like that and Nick Ehlers skates like that, they are tough to stop. Jets head coach Rick Bonus, rightfully so, full of praise for the Winnipeg Jets top line, who were absolutely tremendous tonight for the Jets, combining for 11 points in that Jets 5-2 victory.
And Drew, that's part of, sorry, I know you want to get to more comments and
you're good.
It's 5 after 1 in the morning. So I think we're going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes here, but
yeah, we are.
That's why Dave said when everybody was crying for the Jets to call up Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov, Dave was saying, hold on, pump the brakes. The Jets are probably going to call up Dominic Toninato because the Jets have enough firepower, to withstand a Kyle Connor injury for a couple of months, right? With Scheifele and Vilardi and Ehlers, Niederreiter, Perfetti, like they have enough guys. Adam Lowry, I realize he's on the third line, but he can contribute offensively. So, I think that this is one of the reasons why the Jets, don't panic and call up, Brad Lambert, even though a lot of fans wanted them to, because they have a lot of other guys that can score.
Yeah, I never really thought it was a realistic option for the Jets themselves. What fans want is usually not necessarily realistic, let's say.
Well, no, it's what Craig Button talked about when he was on our show on Saturday. It's instant gratification, right? And it doesn't help. Again, I'm not going to go on a soapbox here because it is 1:05 in the morning, but the fact is that we talk about it, right? The Jets have a plan for their prospects, and again, they try not to deviate from it. And so this is the realistic plan is Brad Lambert, Nikita Chibrikov are going to play, in the AHL with the Moose. And that's the reality. And if the Jets need someone, they've got, the truth is there's a handful of guys who have outlined who could go up and play if they need to, and they'll play well. So it's a good thing to have from the Jets perspective, because like I said, these guys are not replacing, I'm sorry guys, they've played, Lambert's played more pro because he obviously played pro in Finland, but he was playing junior last year, right? So the fact of the matter is you're not throwing these guys in against men, against NHLers, and they're going to do what they're doing at the AHL level, because the AHL is not the NHL. Yeah. These guys are good. They're developing. You want them to develop. You want them to have confidence. They're not moving anytime soon.
Shout out to our boy, Chef Gamey. We just had the comment up that Daniel Gamer, who's, of course, you guys know from Winnipeg, lives in San Diego now. So shout out to Gamey, who's listening a couple hours behind us in the Pacific time zone in San Diego.
And a couple hours south of where today's game happened in Los Angeles. That's where San Diego would be located. Dave, quickly, before Ezzy does the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, you have some Ville Heinola and Rasmus Kupari talk from what you observed at Hockey for All Center earlier today.
Da-na-na, da-na-na. I see exclusive.
Well, the Rasmus quickly Kupari is the operative word. Quickly is the operative word.
Fine, I will, but just don't besmirch my breaking news. But I was going to say Rasmus Kupari is in fact breaking news because nobody's seen or heard except for Dave M, who's speculating. Anyways, the point is Rasmus Kupari and Ville Heinola were on the ice this morning before I got to the Hockey for All Center when I was going for Moose practice, which started at 10:30. My spidey senses was up, so I went a little bit early. Sure enough, I observed the two Finns skating and taking light contact. So that was noticeable. It's on the Illegal Curve website if you want to watch the video and or any info. But again, Heinola, that's a good sign. Full equipment, taking contact. Same with Kupari, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. Associate coach Scott Arneal said November 15th, 4 to 7 weeks. So we'll get an update. The Jets are traveling tomorrow. So when they practice on Friday, I think it's 11 o'clock. We'll speak to Rick Bonus after, and we'll get an update on Kupari and Heinola and the whole bunch.
There you go. IllegalCurve.com will be your destination for more information on that, as it is to watch the video that Dave took earlier today. We'll wrap up the post-game show like we always do. It's our Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
I think Drew's just going to throw it right to me and not give me any intro there. I like it. It is 1:08 in the morning, and we're about an hour from the post-game show. So, Cody, if you're there, Cody Awaziuk, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Like I said, it is 1:08 in the morning. The comment is, that may have been the most complete Jets game I've ever seen. The effort from every player was noticeable. Previous years' teams would have folded. I like that. We discussed that earlier, that this win definitely showed intestinal fortitude to come back down 2 goals, second game of a back-to-back at the end of the road trip with your best goal scorer on the shelf. So, Cody, if you're here, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs at ICSEG on X/Twitter. Send me your mailing info, and we will ship out a Tough Duck to you.
You're going to ship them out a Tough Duck
to you.
Okay.
So congrats, Cody. Great comment.
Yeah, PETA might have something to say about if you're shipping
no, we don't
out
ship
ducks
actual ducks.
There's
I
no
know Drew
foul.
Can you
likes
imagine, like, as he shows up at the Canada Post with a mallard?
Yeah. Drew
I'd
does
to
like
ship this,
duck
please.
confit, but
Yeah. Anyways, yes, congratulations to Cody, tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment winner.
Just got that as.
Yeah, duck confit. That was good on Ezzy's part there. I thought that was pretty. That was pretty humorous.
I know.
I tried duck once. I didn't like it. It was too chewy.
Apparently, it's fatty. Apparently, duck is very
don't
fatty.
like it.
Okay, well,
I like to watch ducks, in a pond. I don't want to eat them.
That's very reasonable of you. I think that everyone appreciates the ducks and the mallards and the geese and everybody else in that family. Appreciate your
Mallard, Manitoba, the home of Canadian Olympian Bridget Lacquette.
Which city in Manitoba has a mallard as their, city mascot?
Niverville.
This is one's for you, Travel MB boy, or Explore MB boy. You can't remember.
I know I've been there, but I can't remember which one it is. I was kind of hoping the chat would.
What town has the big
in.
mosquito? Where's the big mosquito? Is that Morden?
No, Morden's Corn and Apples, isn't it?
I was gonna say Arberg. I was gonna say Arberg, but Arberg is actually a giant curling rock, so it's not Arberg.
Okay. Well, it's something you guys can research and we can bring back to the table on Saturday morning.
Steve's saying it's Camarno. I don't think so. That's the. No, that's Oxford.
Springfield, Camarno, and Gretna. Apparently, Gretna is the answer.
Gretna. Well, yeah. Phyllis is rural Manitoba, so I'm going to go with Phyllis there. But there we go. Giant mallard.
We knew the chat would come through in the clutch for us. Let's let the chat go to bed.
Wait a second. I think it's Petersfield. Pretty sure it's Petersfield, actually. Okay. Sorry. Phyllis is saying the giant mosquito is in Gretna, but I'm pretty sure the mallard is in Petersfield because I fished the Petersfield River before, and there's a giant mallard there.
I think we need to buy a bus and do like a Manitoba, a road trip tour, and I think Phyllis would be she would be the
guide?
MC. Yeah, tour guide. Yeah.
Okay, let's let the chat go to bed so I can go to bed and Ezzy can go to bed and Dave will stay up till 5 a.m. because that's standard operating procedure. We want to say a big thank you to all of you, so many of you, for joining us into the wee hours of this morning for the Illegal Curve post-game show. We also want to say a big thank you to the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make this post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. That's our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. There's Frosty. He's got it up there on the screen. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Dave Williamson at Rumors. If you haven't seen Dave, he's absolutely hilarious. He regularly tours with Bert Kreischer, so be sure to check out Dave at Rumors this weekend. Linden Market Dental Center, Farmery Beer, home of Illegal Curve Lager, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, and our friends at Rolly's Transfer. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're next in action again Saturday morning, 9 a.m. for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. It'll be a doubleheader, IC at 9 a.m., and then the post-game show after the Jets and the Avalanche. We want all of you to join us at number 2 Donald Street, Farmery Beer. Join us there Saturday morning for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. In the meantime, illegalcurve.com. Dave is showing us the picture of the duck now.
There's
Please,
the mallard.
Somebody get his phone out off of the screen. He is showing us the mallard. He still doesn't know what city it's in, but he's showing us the mallard.
I was right. I was right.
Petersfield. There you go. So
don't question my Explorer MB credentials there, Mendel.
I'm questioning a lot of things. Most of all, my life's decisions right now is what I'm mostly questioning. As I said, illegalcurve.com is your destination for all your Winnipeg Jets post-game news and, of course, audio and video between now and Saturday. We thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, and leave us feedback here, there, and everywhere. Jets victorious 5-2 in Los Angeles. For Dave Minuk, for the sleepy Ezra Ginsburg, and until Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I'm your host, Drew Mandel, and we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for joining us for the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.